What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Big Hair, Small Brain. As always, I'm your host, Zach Cronin, and today we're going to be talking about something that I should have talked about weeks ago. Chris Paul joining the Golden State Warriors. About 2 weeks ago, or 13 years as far as the sports news cycle is concerned, the Warriors traded 3 players and 2 picks to the Washington Wizards for Chris Paul. This move was shocking for a multitude of reasons, with the biggest one being that one of the players included in this trade was Jordan Poole. I will touch on this a little bit more later on, but this summer, this offseason in particular, was a massive one for Golden State because they were effectively choosing between Jordan Poole and Draymond Green. And sending Jordan Poole to the Wizards was them making their their decision. How I forgot to talk about this, I don't know. Maybe Mike Dunleavy parachuted into my bedroom one of the nights in the aftermath of the trade and hit me with the neuralizer because it just I never got around to it. And this was something that I really did want to talk about. And I wanted to talk about it because I didn't like this trade at the time, and I still really don't like this trade. I mean, if Golden State did this because this was the only way to keep Draymond Green, then I understand it. But if they did it because they wanted because they wanted Chris Paul over Jordan Poole, it's a little more sus to me. But ultimately, I think it still all goes back to the fact that they wanted to keep Draymond Green. And this was the length that they had to go to get to retain Draymond Green. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't think that them trading for Chris Paul immediately destines them to the lottery. I don't think that they'll be in contention for Bronny James because of this trade. I don't think that this is effectively them shooting themselves with a cannon and sinking the ship because you still have Steph, you still have Clay, you still have Andrew Wiggins, you still have Kevon Looney, and you still have Draymond Green. That is an elite core who just the 5 of them alone is a starting 5 or just a group of guys who are capable of bringing your team to, if not a championship, a conference finals. And also, I don't really want to talk that down on Chris Paul because although he's old, he's 38, just turned 38 this past May. He's coming off of a campaign where he averaged 14 points and about 9 assists on 37% shooting from three. Really, the only issue with him at this stage in his career is his health. Now, that is, of course, a big one because the best ability is availability. But I don't think that this is, cause for Warriors fans to want to burn everything down and start over. Additionally, bringing on Chris Paul adds a very interesting and a very frightening dynamic to this Warriors team, and that is them being able to continue to allow Steph Curry to play off the ball, but now instead of Draymond Green facilitating, you have Chris Paul facilitating. For, as ineffective as Chris Paul may be as a scorer at this stage in his career, I think that defenses will still respect his ability to get to the cup more than Draymond Green. And we've seen how deadly Steph Curry is working off of Draymond Green. This could be a explosive offensive performance that we might not have seen before. Like I'm talking putting up 25 points in 7 minutes that they're together. This has the potential to be just one of the most explosive and nuclear offensive showings that any team has had. Of course, there is still a massive elephant sitting in the middle of the Chase Center. Beyond Chris Paul's age, beyond his injury history, because they aren't going to be able to, have that death lineup, I guess you could call it, for extended periods throughout the game. We're looking at a very shallow Golden State Warriors team. And this is a Golden State Warriors team that was already relatively shallow, despite the fact that you had one of the most effective bench scorers in the league with Jordan Poole. Currently, how this roster is constructed, this is not hyperbole. Golden State could very well have the weakest bench lineup in the league, and if not the weakest bench lineup in the league, the weakest among championship contenders. I expect Chris Paul or Andrew Wiggins to be the first guy off the bench, and the rest of the reserves are not notable names really outside of Gary Payton and Jonathan Kuminga. The rest of the bench lineup consists of Moses Moody, Corey Joseph, and Dario Saric, the latter two who were recently signed to help fill out this Warriors bench. And I'm not being pessimistic just for the sake of being pessimistic. It's not that I think all of these guys are trash. In fact, Jonathan Kuminga and Gary Payton II have been hugely beneficial and very productive for Golden State over the last couple of seasons. It's just the overall makeup of this bench. I don't know how they're going to perform, particularly on offense, because let's not forget, as you know, shitty as Jordan Poole was as a defender, quite arguably the worst defender in the league, he's still guaranteed 18 to 20 points a night during the regular season, at least, and throughout this past regular season. This was a Warriors bench that ranked 7th in scoring. Of course, the large portion of that came from Jordan Poole, but it's always nice when teams can have a guy or two that they can rely on off the bench. Think about Andre Iguodala, Sean Livingston, Jordan Poole. I think that the Warriors can make it work. I really do think that they can make it work. And in order to prevent myself from looking like a silly goose, I do want to maintain a base level of optimism because, as I already mentioned, you have Steph Curry, you have Klay Thompson, and you have Draymond Green. That trio is good enough to take this team to be among the leaders in the Western Conference. There is also Steve Kerr. Steve Kerr is a brilliant coach, one of the best coaches in recent memory. If there is any team that can make this work, it is the Golden State Warriors. I'm just worried about the amount of time that it's going to take and if they have that time available to them. But I want to make it abundantly clear that I don't think that this is failure from the start. I think that it's just going to take a little bit of time for Golden State to figure it out. And, you know, as optimistic as some may be, there are legitimate concerns for this team. And the Warriors are not unique to that. Every team in the NBA has some level of concern. It's just with the Warriors, it is their depth, and it still remains their depth. Another storyline in this saga that was fascinating to observe was the either or between Draymond Green and Jordan Poole, particularly online, because I love brain disease, and you are going to get only the best brain disease from Twitter. I can't quite remember what the split was, but there was certainly the pro Poole camp and the pro Draymond Green camp. I found myself in the pro Green camp. In picking these two, you have to look at the way that the Warriors' current situation is. They're going to be contending for titles for the next couple of years at least. And when you look at it through that lens, Draymond Green is the clear choice. You don't need to hang on to Jordan Poole. It may seem kind of cringe that Mike Dunleavy moved on from the franchise's future cornerstone, but they're not at that point as an organization. And then when they do elect to rebuild, they can find a new franchise cornerstone. But the fact of the matter is that this Warriors front office and this Warriors ownership group is heavily invested in winning. You're still capable of winning. Again, you have Steph, Klay, and Dre. That is the three that can take you to the title. So when you look at it through that lens, it just makes sense to go with Draymond Green. Now, you move beyond that part of the conversation. You get to the money portion. Draymond Green recently received a 4-year deal from Golden State valued at $100 million. That is a lot of money. And even though it's a lot of money, still less than someone like Fred VanVleet, for example, on an AAV basis, if I remember correctly. It is a lot of money for a non-Warriors team to give Draymond Green. This is a worthwhile investment for this team because Draymond does so much for them, and they already know how to maximize his utility that it's almost like a bargain getting him for $25 million on average. You look at Dre, who has become one of the sport's premier defensive anchors. He's turned Golden State into arguably the most menacing defense over the last decade. He's immensely versatile on that end. Can guard 1 through 5, can guard LeBron, can guard Dame, can guard Jokic, can guard all of the heavy hitters in both the Western and Eastern Conference. He's exceptionally smart. His unpredictability has also made the Warriors defense so tremendous because there is no look that they won't throw out an offense. And when you're able to shake up the rhythm of your opponents, that's an edge. And you can get and you need to take every edge that you can get as an NBA team. You throw in his playmaking. It was almost a no-brainer for them to side or for them to choose Draymond over Jordan Poole. Again, the TLDR of that is this Warriors team is built to win titles now, and Draymond Green will have more of an impact on that than Jordan Poole. Just to circle back to Chris Paul for a second, what jogged my memory to talk about this was I saw a tweet where he was introduced as the Warrior, where he was introduced as a Golden State Warrior. And it was sad, dude. I can't even lie. They made like no effort to introduce Chris Paul. The Golden State Warriors official Twitter account posted a picture of him in like a boring ass conference room, this liminal space ass conference room, with him holding his jersey that was fucking wrinkled. They gave this man a wrinkled number 3 jersey. Additionally, there was an alternate angle of of this picture that was taken from the side, and they had Chris Paul post up against a fucking trash can. This is your like major move of the offseason, and they put him next to a trash can. I think, I'm not a superstitious guy, but that just seems kind of like a bad omen. But anyway, I think I'm gonna go ahead and close this one out. Thank you guys so very much for coming to hang out with me today. Everything that I'm associated with is down in the description box below. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Subscribe to the channel. Leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it. Comment as well. It really helps out in the algorithm. And with that, I'll catch y'all on the next one.